What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today we're back to answer your questions in another Warhammer 40K episode entitled For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewers. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first.
And let's hope I don't forget how to do these things because I'm slowly forgetting. Shane Bradford has asked, so I'm new to 40K, and I'm wondering, on average, what's the average cost of a 40K army? And also, to paint them. Love the content, keep it up.
Let's do fast math for you. And by fast math, we're probably going to take the majority of the time of this video adding this up. But for the most part, like if you get a starter set, a starter set right now is what, $95?
Roughly, yeah. Depending on which one you go with.
And then if you don't want to go through buying through GW, you could always just buy from like Amazon or like a hobby store, and that usually brings it down to like 10 or 20 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say for you get a starter set, because I really recommend you do. That's probably like the best bang for your buck usually. Right. So that would be like, we'll say $85. We'll average it, right?
Yeah, we'll say 85 roughly.
And then after that, you want to get some heavy support. Heavy support usually tends to be the way you want to fit your force organization chart is you're going to get another troop. So troops are usually $25. The box, right? For usually, the most part. Yeah. So that's another $25 for the box.
Brings you to like 110.
And then if you, let's say you want some elite, we'll say 2 elite slots. Sure. Usually those are around $50 to $60, right?
Mm-hmm. We'll lowball it because you're just starting in. So we'll say that's another $100. That brings you up to 210. And then should we do fast attack?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something that a lot of armies don't really. No.
Some of them. It depends, right? Like White Scars.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like a generic one anyway.
Yeah. So but let's say you do get 2 more units from the fast attack slot. Mm-hmm. Same prices, kind of.
Another $100, so 310.
Yeah, and
then you come to the heavy support, and that's where your wallet will be feeling less heavy because you're going to be paying a lot depending on what you go with.
Yeah, like a Gorkanaut and Morkanaut is $130, I think it is. Battle Wagon is like close to $90. Tanks are, what, $85?
If that. I've seen some that go for like $90, $115. So what do you think would be a nice...
$200, right?
Yeah.
But the $200, I think, could also cover like all of the extra stuff too. Like, let's say you don't like the HQ that comes in the starter set, or you want to go for a better HQ. Those usually tend to be around like $20.
Right. So at the end of the day, you're paying about $500 when you look at it for a starter plus elite, fast attack, heavy. That sounds pretty reasonable.
And then that's also not including like the paint and all that kind of stuff. If you want to go with GW paint, those paints are pretty expensive. All good paint is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
The bottles range between like $3 to $5. So you're looking, if you want to buy an airbrush and all that kind of stuff, if you want to go all out, you're looking at about another $100.
Yep, at least. Because even though Battle Ready is 3 colors, you're most likely going to do more than 3 colors. You also got to think about, let's say my army is going to be green, white, and red. Mm-hmm. You also got to think about, you're going to need brown for any like clothing. You're going to need your silvers for like the guns and swords and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, you're going to need a bunch of colors.
Yeah, and I remember when we first started, because we started when we were very, very young. I used to use acrylic paints that I would buy from Walmart, which is like the couple cents. Those last not that long on the actual model. They will actually rub off.
Yeah. They peel and they rub off. It was weird.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Primer is also something that you really need to get.
Yeah, even though I do go with like the cheap Walmart primer, which is just like, I think a couple cents. It's a very, very bottom row, like black and white that they sell. So that's there. But yeah, it's an expensive hobby when you look at it like getting everything all at once. But in reality, like, you probably spend that much in a video game. Like, you buy the console, it's like $200.
PlayStation 5 is $500 already.
Yeah, see? So when people say, like, oh, like, you're investing a lot of money, you're also, I think more so, you're investing more time.
Yes.
Because that's really where this, like, hobby is unique with video games and stuff like that. Whereas, like, you are building your thing from scratch, kind of.
Whereas, like, let's say you're playing a game night and you bring in Monopoly. Like, yeah, that takes time, but you're not building your pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
But also that's the fun part of it, and yeah, we'll say it's under $1,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's good.
Right. Or if you really want to go, just start collecting and a bunch of paints. You know, that puts you at what, 200?
Yeah. And then Christmas is right around the corner, which brings up two things. Number one, when I was younger, until I actually like hit around 20, I never bought myself anything. I would always just get them gifts or like birthday presents or, you know, Christmas stuff like that. So keep that in mind too. Get your girlfriend to buy you stuff. That's always nice.
Yeah. Kind of like be like, oh, look at this model. It looks really cool. Oh, Gascoigne, he's the best. And then you look in the stocking, and you get WAAAGH because they couldn't find Gascoigne.
Exactly. And then also, Christmas reminds me of Battle Forces. So there's going to be like huge bundles where you do have a little bit more saving than the starter kits. What was last year's Battle Force boxes cost? Do you remember?
I want to say it was like...
Was it 300?
No, I want to say it was like 250.
Oh, well, that's a huge saving. Because if we just did the math and it came out to about around 500, if you spend 250 on like a full-ass Battle Force, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
eBay is also a really good spot for you to like buy used armies or used models and stuff like that, and the price drops dramatically.
Right.
You can get you can get a Lehman Russ for like $20.
Yeah. Even broken models.
Yeah.
Or bits. It's the place to go.
There's a YouTuber that I've seen. I don't really know his YouTuber name, but it's like he buys used eBay models, and then he like repaints them, redoes them, and all that kind of stuff. It's actually kind of interesting concept, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's something that I tried doing with my Def Copters. Didn't work. Didn't work. But yeah, so it's a fun hobby. It's
Right.
expensive, but so is everything else.
That's true when you think about it. But it's like, would you rather get a PlayStation 5 and, you know, or would you rather create an army from scratch to play with your friends? Or both. Why not? This next question is by Gofaria Rebels. Hello, how have you guys been? My question is, what faction emblem or person or creatures would you guys get tattooed on you?
I've thought about this before, and none.
None? You wouldn't want to get like the chaos symbol on your nips?
No. Just because my nips are sensitive.
Exactly. I mean, that's why you'd get them.
Yeah, but that's too many points. Too many spiky bits around my nips.
The 8, what is it, 8-point star or whatever?
Yeah. Because like I'm an orc player, and I just don't think that any orc iconography would look cool on a human skin, If you have a orc tattoo, that's cool, but it's just I don't prefer that aesthetic on me. I like when I look at tattoos, I like the ones that kind of like flow with the body. Yeah, like even the lines. I don't know what the lines represent, but like, you know, the circle things. Yeah, those are kind of cool. But obviously that's not.
Yeah, to me, I never like saw tattoos as like, oh, something I needed to get. So I don't think I would get anything, but for the hell of it, if I were to get something, I'd probably just get an outline, like look cell shaded.
Yeah.
I'd look like I'd be coming out of Borderlands or something.
That would be cool. They do makeup stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah, a bunch of Halloween costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, since we're saying like if I did have the opportunity and like I can switch out my body at some point in my life, I would get an epic back piece on like Armageddon or something. Like it would, in the center would be Godskull, and then like him fighting like salamanders or space marines, and just like a huge, like the old school 40K like epic Black Templar thing, that but with orcs winning, obviously.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. It's like those, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of like, I don't know if you've seen those videos where like people get like shoes and they dip them into the paint.
Oh yeah.
Like I just see like people dipping you into a paint with like the Warhammer like picture on it. Yeah.
Oh, another cool thing would be like to get Armageddon or Cadia tattooed on my stomach, like the Tupac
You
thing.
should get Cadia, but have your belly button be a little dot in the eye.
Yeah, the Eye of Terror.
There you go. Oh man.
Next question.
This one's by ABS Forge. Will we ever see your armies? It'd be very interesting to hear you guys talk about your miniatures, armies, and how you play them on the battlefield. There's a freaking
A
playlist.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
We do it a lot, especially in like the other social medias too. So Instagram, Facebook. We don't use Pinterest.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, yeah.
Yeah, they're on there.
And with ninth edition rolling out, we're playing more. I feel like we're playing more. So we're learning the rules more. We're being more into the actual tabletop. I don't think we're ever going to get to like tabletop tactics level or
with
anything like that. But yeah, we'll eventually we will have series that talk about that. That will say we're gonna continue and probably only do like one or two videos. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I was actually looking at like the videos that we first did like 6 years ago. I was looking at the Tau Tactica that I did. Some of that's still pertinent.
Oh really? Yeah. We were very, very young.
Oh yeah.
I can smell like, because we used to film in my garage, and when I see those videos, I could smell like what the garage would smell like. We sometimes. I think for those videos, we had the garage door open.
Yeah.
So you had all this background noise of like the cars passing by, the birds chirping. It was just funny. So funny. Next question.
Nico Tuggus. What are your favorite armies to play on the tabletop? And also, your thoughts on 9th edition so far? That ties in perfectly. So that actually makes a lot of sense since we were talking about how we were playing more games in 9th edition. So I've actually played a lot of armies, and I've collected a lot of armies that I never actually got to play on the battlefield. So the ones that I really got to play were Grey Knights, Space Marines, Tau, and Chaos. And overall, I think in 9th edition, Space Marines are probably the best. Even though I've never got to play as them, but I've played against them, and they're pretty hard. But so are the Orcs. Orc boys are such a strong unit to play against because you have to take so many bodies out, and they're able to hold objectives really well. So those armies are probably the most toughest to go against, but in terms of the way I play them, I like Chaos the most. There's a lot of interesting combinations you can do, and I feel like even though I've been playing Chaos a lot, there's a lot of options and tactics that I haven't been able to use yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And what was this question?
What armies do we play, and what are our thoughts on 9th?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I play Skitarii, Orcs, and Space Marines. I've never actually played Space Marines in 9th edition. Skitarii is really fun, but it's very castle-like, where you kind of you just sit there for most of the game. You're a shooting army. And then Orcs are probably my favorite. I just recently created a speed freak list. I hate speed freaks. Their lore is cool, but I don't really care. Or I don't care about that whole concept of ooh, Mad Max and all this cool stuff. I understand it's cool, but not my thing. And it was amazing. I destroyed, because it was it was a
3-way battle.
Yeah, and I destroyed you. I was like, holy shit! First turn, this is a real alpha strike.
Oh yeah.
Unit or army, and then I ended up getting destroyed by the Necrons because I focused. Not because I focused, but because I split my army basically, which I wasn't supposed to do.
And I feel like that it always happens every time we do 3-way battles. It's whoever splits their army loses first.
Yep.
And then by that time, whoever has the most models on the table wins. That's usually the Necrons.
Yeah. Yep. That's a bummer because it is always you, me, and someone else. And then what usually happens is that someone else castles up.
Yeah.
And they always end up winning.
We should
team up. Well, not team up. Maybe just castle. Just hold back and let them do it.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a boring game.
It is.
Yeah. I went up against a Raven Guard player. And I tried doing that. I was just like, I think I was playing Skitari. So I was like, no, I'm not going to move. He's not going to move. And it really was like a couple turns of not doing anything. Like shooting, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Was,
At that point, it's just like who has the objectives or who can get the objectives.
Yeah. And it gets frustrating.
Yeah. So 9th edition, I think, has gotten better for 2 reasons. Command points and the stratagems, you can do so much more with that. And overall, focusing more on objectives this edition, I think, has really made some units that were unplayable, like playable now. Like now you want a bunch of dudes. You want durable troops. And I think before it's just more, let me get in your face and kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these not secret objectives, but the secondary objectives with like, where it could be slay the warlord, it could be the kill the psyker, it could be like control
the table quarters.
Yeah. Those change the game.
Because it's like, do I focus on the primary or the secondary?
Yeah. And then no more stealing initiative. It's cool. Next question comes from PB Unit. Was the Christian God real in the 40K past? Yeah. So the way that it works is like if enough people believe it, it manifests in the immaterium some way. Emotions are the most common because you don't really need like belief. You just naturally like have that anger, you have that joy, you have that pleasure. But yeah, the Christian God did manifest in the war. Probably not very strong, but he would be considered like a minor chaos god.
Right. Like with his pickaxe and his like helmet getting coal.
A minor. Have you seen that one video or the picture on, I think, Facebook, where like it's Jesus arm wrestling the devil?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, who do you want to win? And then it says Trump 2020.
What? Everything's politics nowadays.
Yeah. And it's like your grandma doing it. It's like, Grandma, you're still alive? What? All right, next turn. Or
next turn. This one is by Tube Pincher. How did the Emperor stay inconspicuous while he was observing mankind if he was 10 feet tall? He can shapeshift.
Yep. He's the most powerful psyker in the history of humanity.
So yeah, I mean, he's the strongest psyker, so no matter what, like, even if somebody did, like, oh, like, look at that giant, who's going to believe him?
Nobody.
Exactly. It's like saying, oh, look, I found Bigfoot. No, it's just the Emperor naked.
Exactly. And what's big? His foot. His third foot.
His third foot.
This question comes from Brady W. Hickman. Slanesh Chaos Orcs? Yep, they have them.
Ooh, just thinking about that makes me moister? Damper?
Damper.
Yeah, damper.
Next question.
Is this one for DC or DJC 807? Why don't you guys paint the individual pieces before building them on models?
I do. Actually, you might see a video very soon where I speed paint my Kilikans.
Ooh.
And that's what I do. I paint them individually. It all depends on the models, though. Some models it makes sense. Some models it really doesn't. Because if you're painting an arm one way and then you're painting the torso a different way of like a character whose skin, like you might see the different shades and
the
stuff
two
like
tones
that.
Or whatever.
Yeah, which I found out with my Blades of Corn. Check out our Instagram. I have like one guy that I'm really proud of. He's just a regular like corn warrior dude, and he has like I painted his veins and they go across his.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it looks really nice. But if I would have painted individually, I don't think I would have been able to replicate it. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks. If you don't know what he's talking about, think of Arnold with a beanie, and that's what it looks like.
Basically.
The
last question. I have one from Ty Shingleton. If you could take one relic from anywhere in the galaxy, what would it be? What would you do with it?
Ooh, loaded question. I first thought I want to say like a weapon, but it's like no, Like there's so much better things you could
Technology.
do. Yeah. Let's go with a Tau battle suit.
Yeah. What would you do with it?
Probably not very much because I probably won't be able to get enough fuel to use it after like the first few times. So it's like, yeah, I can fly, yeah, I can like pick up heavy things and whatnot, but it's like after a while, it's gonna run out of energy and it's just gonna sit there.
That's true. I would get an STC just because
You have one of those already, right? Oh, STC, sorry.
not STD. Yeah, an STC is like it's supposed to be for people who have no engineering background to just press a button and boom, it creates it.
Yeah.
So
What if it's just like an STC on,
toaster.
yeah, or a can opener?
That would suck.
Yeah.
But if it was for Imperial Knight.
Hey.
And the cool thing is that it teaches you how to build based on the materials and resources of that world. So like the situation with like plasma for the Tau, that really wouldn't matter because the STC would tell me what to use in order to get to the whatever.
It's like, oh, you can't use this rare mineral, but hey, if you could sacrifice 20,000 people, then you got it.
There you go. And those were
No. Those were the questions for today. As always, guys, help us remember how to do these intros and outros because as much as we do them, we tend to forget.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwin.
and we are out.
Oh, if you could put my